Weekend of November 29th and 30th, that's in 3 weeks' time, the Put Australia First rally will take place. Now, what is the Put Australia First rally? Well, joining us now to tell us more about it is organiser and activist Monica Smith. Monica, great to see you. Great to have you back on Outsiders. So the Put Australia First rally, you've got some news about who are the speakers there, but you've also had some difficulties, I understand, getting to be exactly where you want to be. You can tell us about that. But first and foremost, what is Put Australia First and who are you hoping will turn up to your rally and why?
Well, you know, putting Australia first isn't really very controversial, but apparently the government seems to put their friends first or their foreign acquaintances first. And, you know, when the government is making economic decisions or immigration decisions, we would just like to be put first. Australia sells so much of its energy resources. We sell 88% of our coal, 75% of our gas, 100% of our uranium. And it seems like we are prioritising exporting instead of helping Australia grow. So Put Australia First is not just about immigration, it's about affordable energy, and it's also about freedom of speech, which Sky News loves to talk about. We have the under-16 social media ban coming up soon. And we all know here that it has nothing to do with protecting children and everything to do with gathering all of our data. I mean, this is the same government that thinks it's okay for a 12-year-old to take, you know, life-altering medications. But the same government says, oh no, we care so much about your 12-year-old not getting bullied online, and we care so much that we want everybody else's ID and facial data and things like that. So I think Australians have had enough. Just like Rita said, we've had enough, and the attitude of she'll be right, it's not going to fly for much longer in Australia. And I can't wait to see them try to bring in the under-16 social media ban, for them to try to bring in a mandatory digital ID like they're trying to do in the UK. I think it's going to fail miserably, and the patriotic movement in Australia is growing, and we're here for it. So on Saturday, the 29th of November in Sydney, and on the 30th of November in Melbourne, we want to show the government that we have had enough, and we are going to continue to put Australia first. And if they keep pushing us, we'll just keep standing up.
James.
Tell me about what your movement's approach is towards migration. We just had a very big talk here about the coalition and its weakness in prosecuting what should be an absolutely stand-up, knockdown case on this issue. You have said that some of the other marches are a bit too extreme, a bit too unrealistic, I guess, about this idea of, you know, shutting all immigration and kicking out all sorts of people. What does your group argue for in that space, and how do you make that palatable to an audience that has been trained for years by the mainstream media to think that any discussion of immigration and immigration levels is racist?
Yeah, well, we have to accept the reality, and it is a beautiful reality, that many of us here have colleagues, have close friends and family members who are immigrants, who are law-abiding, tax-paying, legal immigrants. Now, we don't want to send them home. We also don't want to shut the gates because it's not realistic. Our economy needs some sort of immigration. But what we do want is for reform. There needs to be more discussion in Parliament. I mean, hundreds of thousands of Australians marched the streets over the last 2 months, and there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of more at home that didn't march who want some sort of reform. All Australians want, and I think this is a mainstream concept, is that we just want immigrants to be vetted properly. We want to make sure that the burden on society is not too great, and that maybe their social payments only last a certain amount of time before they have to start giving back to the economy. You know, my dad is an immigrant from Holland in the 1960s. And they had to get a job within a certain amount of time. They had to pay their own way within a certain amount of time. And they did that. And I don't know why those rules have been slipping. But Australians just want to see immigration reform. And I think that's very realistic. And that's what's different about the Put Australia First rallies, is we are mainstream, everyday Australians with absolutely rational demands of putting Australia first, and everyone is welcome at our rally, whether they are a new immigrant, an old immigrant, or they want to contribute to society in Australia. As long as you respect Australia, you respect our culture, and you want to help us grow this economy, then you can walk with us 100%.
Rita.
But every time there's a pro-Australia rally, and I'm sure it's probably going to happen with this one, the media wants to demonise it. You'll have politicians raising objections and all the activist groups. And we saw with the March for Australia, so-called conservative politicians coming out and saying, don't take part, don't go, because there may be, a few dozen extremists attending the march. What's your strategy to deal with that?
Well, unfortunately, some of the past events have been infected by these extremists from an organisation level, and of course on the day being given a platform and things like that. And the sad reality of that is that the hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of Australians with legitimate concerns, they end up being ignored because of 15 extremists that turn up. But the difference is they shouldn't be given a stage. That is a huge problem. And at our events, we're going to have many procedures in place to ensure that extremists from either side can't infiltrate our event. Now, if the NSN turn up, for example, we are not extreme enough for them. So they would not be coming in support of our event. They would be coming just to agitate. And so we are liaisoning with the police, and we will have security there as well to make sure that they don't get a stage. And I just feel sympathy for the well-intentioned Australians that went to those events, made a huge effort to go there, and they went home and found out later that they were actually in a march that was being led by an extremist group. So we are making sure that doesn't happen. And we are, what I think, we are the first pro-Australia movement organisation that is prioritising this sort of thing to make sure that families can come and feel safe and their voices won't get silenced by extremists.
So, Monica, a couple of things. Are there any speakers you'd like to tell us about that you're going to have there on the day? And also, you've mentioned the digital ID thing. I think that's a major concern. Are young people concerned about the digital ID? I was doing an event, Tony Abbott's book launch the other day, and there was a young girl there who was, I don't know exactly her age, but certainly the ban would affect her. And she made the point that she uses social media for studies, for all sorts of important friendships and engagements, and that this was a direct attack on her way of life. Is this what you're finding, Monica?
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, I don't know if you've met a 15-year-old lately, but they will find a way around this. And so that's why I think it's so hilarious, because it's very easy to legislate something at the moment, especially if you have a majority in the government. But implementing it is a whole new beast altogether. And, it's YouTube and Google and Meta and TikTok. They're the ones actually responsible for enforcing the under-16 social media ban. So I think over the next month or so, we will see some pushback from the likes of Elon Musk and other people within those organisations, because they don't want to have to put the money and infrastructure in place to do this, because they aren't stupid, Rowan. They know it's not about the safety of under 16-year-olds. So this is really all about getting everyone's data online, so that when the Australian government tries to bring in a mandatory digital ID, which they're trying to do in the UK, then they'll already have a lot of our facial recognition data and our biometrics and our IDs, and it will just make the process of a mandatory digital ID a lot easier for them. That's what it's all about, and it's definitely not about protecting your children. Now, I know you asked about the speakers of the event. The speakers are on the page right now. We just had a very well-known speaker pull out just yesterday for a personal reason. So I know that's why you were asking the question, but Jacinta Price does support the event. She was going to speak, but she's had to pull out. But over the next 3 weeks, we've got 3 weeks to go, we're going to have some great speakers coming out.
Monica Smith, always great to chat to you, and good luck with the rally there. Put Australia first, 3 weeks' time on the weekend for people who want to come. And Monica, I think you put the case extremely well. I think politics should be beckoning for you, Monica. You really do present really well. Thanks so much for coming on the show.